Aloha, aloha, aloha. It is Jennifer Victoria Bell, and I wanted to share about why we're really here now. Why are we really here having this experience? What's really happening? What's really contributing? And this is just my perspective. So I invite you to tune in and see what is going on for you. And so let's share. So we're in quarantine. We're on a lockdown. We're having what we're being told is this virus. And what's very interesting, right, is traditional quarantine is not about stopping society completely. Traditional quarantine is separating out the people that have been infected from the people who can move about society freely. And but here we are, right? We have this is the situation. And if we're watching, right, we're watching and observing. We have someone that um, wants to give us a vaccine for this, but traditionally vaccines don't work as well as as people would like you to think. And that person also has another agenda, right? To microchip us. There's an agenda of control, right? There's an agenda of control. So I want you to understand a couple things. We are in a situation that this has been long time coming. This is not just like, oh, this just popped up now. This has been unfolding for thousands and thousands of years. Why? So if you are in a society or in a culture or in a community where, let's say, the idea or the premise, so I'm going to say this is kind of like this is what's connecting us globally, that the way people operate is that not all lives are equal, right? We know this, right? So there's always some community somewhere on the planet, whether it be human or other type of being, animal, plant, that is being deemed less than another being. So basically, this large amount of consciousness has been built for thousands of years that perpetuates greed, it perpetuates jealousy, it perpetuates comparison, it perpetuates a lot of ways that we engage with people in the world in a negative way or in a way that does not support our vital life force energy. That is so we can create more of that same feeling, okay? And so thousands and thousands of years of this way of building uh, engagement through life has been through a devaluing of human life, not just human life, plant life, animal life, all kinds of life, and life itself. And now that is unfolding. Now that is unfolding, and we're facing many timelines of genocide, I would say. Many, many timelines of genocide are kind of coming together right now from, from our past history, coming through the ancestry. And so these things have to unfold. Like, so basically, we're looking at, if I look at the way that the government operates, it does not value our lives here. Our lives here matter more than your lives in that country, right? Or vice versa. If or also, like, if we look at the government, there's a bloating there where, like, well, the politicians matter more than the people that they represent, right? Or we have, you know, Celebrities. We can look at Hollywood. These people are more important, and we put them on a stage and we glorify them than you are because they're famous. Their lives matter more. They won't matter more in the Akashic records, to be honest with you, just so you know. Um, or we have so many examples, right? So many examples of this. This has been thousands of years. And now we have this again, what's been in the dark. There's been things happening in the dark to people, even in our present lifetime, things that we don't know about. And we have to have something massive that we can see that helps us let us know that something that we can't see is happening. And this big thing that we can't see that is happening is not something that values life at all. So what happens if we switch? Like, so basically it's like saying my life matters more, so I get to take from you. It's tax, like we think about taxes. My life matters more, this life matters more, this life force matters more, so we get to take from yours. What happens when we live in a universe where everybody has what they need? What happens? What happens when we realize that we have all the resources we need? How do we start to interact with people? We come to a place where we don't feel the need to take from another life force in order to survive. But what's been perpetuated for thousands of years is the only way to survive is to take from another life force. Greed. And it's a very parasitic way of living. It's very parasitic. So if we can switch and understand that we have everything we need, that we have an infinite supply, an infinite resource, first from our soul and then from what our soul represents, which is source, universe, infinite, God, Allah, Buddha. I'm trying to think of all the representations here, right? Jesus. If we know that, if we absolutely know that, and we're absolutely, that's always reflected to us, we don't feel the need to take from others, to be parasitic. So this is what's breaking open and unfolding. And if you don't understand that, you need to start investigating or looking at how much human trafficking exists in the around the globe. You need to understand at least that, right? And so we have these mentalities, and I'm just going to address Allie, abundance versus scared. So I don't even want to do a versus. Basically, or scarce. Basically, it comes down to this. It's not even that. If we get stuck in the polarities, like abundance versus scarce or lack, or if we get stuck fear versus love, if we get stuck in that polarity, we are missing the point. The point is all lives we have to start seeing the and operating through the truth that all life has value, whether it be the life of the planet, a plant, a flower, a bee, a dog, a horse, an orangutan, a female, a male, a child, a star being. I'm just going to throw that one in there. So, and also there are beings we can't see that manage nature. We have elemental beings, they're absolutely real, and they've been overlooked. So I have to speak about them because I have a connection with them. So that's the point. The point is we are being thrown into polarities of divisiveness and distraction And really, the main thing that we need to start cultivating for ourselves is this respect and honoring for all of life, all of it. It might not be easy for you. I mean, how often do you find yourself when someone has a differing opinion or someone cuts you off in traffic? How do you want to um, how often do you want to like be really nasty about that, right? How often? So it's not to say that we should never have emotions or feel something, but carrying those emotions to create a thought of harm to another person, that's where we get in trouble. And there's a great, there, it's hard for people to even imagine we could live in a world where there's peace because we've been fed an agenda for so long. And because people don't understand that safety doesn't come from having nuclear weapons. Safety doesn't come from having a government. Safety doesn't come um, from the medical profession. Safety comes from within. It comes from your connection to your infinite soul. It's why I teach this. It's why I teach this because of where we are right now. And so it's why I teach this. It's why people may have mental concepts of we're in an abundant, that like we're infinite and abundant, but they don't have it organized in their energy and they don't know how to operate through that truthfully. So it has to be, you have to organize that and manage it through your energy, through your entire consciousness. It has to be the organizing principle of your life. And um, it's interesting because of my experience. I would say this. I work with so many people who really want to open their intuition. They want to trust it. And a lot of those people have had parents, like, so let's say they were in there as a child, they were in their room and they saw a monster. They saw a monster, so they told their parents, and their parents said, "There's nothing there. See, there's nothing there." Well, that's the first gaslighting. That's one of the major gaslightings that happens. So, my suggestion, if that happens, is that you just ask your child more about it instead of telling them that it wasn't there. Because we don't know in this day and age if it was a real, because there are some real things that happen, and then there are thought forms. Like, so let's say as a parent, you watched a scary movie. That thought form of that thing that you saw could be in your energy, and your child could perceive that. But you don't want to tell your child they didn't see what they saw because they don't trust themselves. So the best thing you do is just ask questions. Parents do this innocently because they want their child to feel safe. And when I carry that into the world of light working, I want to explain something very important. A lot of people want to hear me say everything is wonderful and we're all safe and we're cared for and we live in an abundant, world, a world full of love. But it's actually not the whole truth right now. We're going towards there, but you can see even how people are responding to each other who have differing opinions on Facebook. You can see that that's not necessarily the case. So we can't build a world that is unconditionally loving if we're going to try to fill people with false safety. So it's a lot of what I see with light workers because sometimes we do see things, and if you're a person who, um, not everybody has an innate ability to travel through different realms of consciousness, right? So basically, and there's a reason why people can see darker or darkness or what's in the dark, let's just say, more clearly than others. And it's important that we don't say to those people, you didn't see that thing. We live in this world. Well, that's not the world they live in. But we can build that world together. We can build that world together if we're willing to to be more compassionate and understanding, to understand that sometimes there are things that need to be cleared that you might not be able to see. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to tell you there's anything wrong with you. You're not built to see it. You're built to do something else, and that's okay. You're built to do something else. So it's important that we don't try to tell people, you know, what's wrong with you? This is the world we live in. Can't you see that? What you're seeing is wrong. Well, everybody's got a way of seeing something. And, in my effort, I'm trying to honor everybody's way of seeing something, because there are people that, and I have friends that, they believe this virus, they believe everything the government is doing is what we need to do, or they're pissed off at Trump, or they're pissed off at this one, or, like whatever reason, whatever is going on there. I can't, I can't tell them, that's not what's happening. That's not going to help. It's definitely not going to help our friendship. So I'm seeing a lot of this kind of divisiveness, this divide and conquer, divide and conquer, and we need to be in a place of more understanding. Just because someone can't see it the way that we do, and to understand that just because you can't see this doesn't mean it's not happening. So that's why I'm encouraging people to open their perspective, because there's a lot of different things happening. There's a lot happening at once, even though we're on this. We think about it, we would think our lives should be more full of stuff if we were back to our normal life. But it's actually more full now because of what's unfolding. So again, I would encourage you to look at the numbers of human trafficking that happens on globally. I would encourage you to look at throughout history how how vaccines have been used on populations of people that other people thought their lives didn't matter as much. So we can just use it on them. They can be the guinea pigs. I encourage you to look at that. And one of the reasons I'm encouraging you is because we can't operate any from being any from this place of, well, that doesn't affect me anymore, because you don't understand that it affects the energy of life. It affects our relationship with life. Now, the other part of this is, once you find out some stuff, like, what do you do after that? So part of it is like, what is yours to do? But that's something for you to answer. But the one thing you can do is just to be more open, even if the person's perspective is of the perspective that's opposite yours. It's the only way we're going to start to come together. It's the only way, and to respect. This is really important, that we respect the person's choice in supporting their vital life force energy. I'm going to say this directly to people that are in support of the vaccination. And why I'm saying this is because you don't realize that but on some level, by not looking, by not investigating, by not being open to understanding that vaccinations can do harm, that you are actually saying that the people who do not want to be vaccinated, their lives don't matter. as much as yours. And I want to let that sink in. And hope, I'm going to say it actually again. By choosing false safety coming from a vaccination and not questioning or not being open to hearing people that have had experiences with vaccinations that have not been positive, you are basically saying their lives matter less than yours. And that is the consciousness that we need to stop operating through. Now. Absolutely now. So I need you to take a long, hard look at that. I'm not saying your opinion doesn't matter or your perspective doesn't matter, because it does. But when we're talking about something that can impact the vital life force energy of people, we've got to start looking more closely at what we are agreeing to as a people and for our fellow beings. It's another reason why I don't understand people that aren't more upset about GMOs. Because GMOs, if you don't know this, are an attempt to patent food. Because food from nature can't be patented. But food that's been intervened with on a chemical level can be patented. And when it's patented, the price can be driven up. But it's also taking the vital life force energy of the plant and degrading it. What happens when you eat that food where the vital life force energy of that food has been degraded? It affects your vital life force energy. So we need to come together and understand this is a big thing for us as humans to deal with. But we need to start looking at solutions that support all of life. And we have to operate through the truth and organize our energy, because if you're not in touch with your energy, if you don't know how to manage your energy, and there are a lot of people teaching energy healing who don't actually know how to help you do this, by the way, that if you're not understanding how to really center your energy, that you might not be able to see the whole picture. And I'm speaking very slowly because I really want this to sink in. I really want this to sink in, and I hope that you'll share this. I don't need to be right. This is not about being right at all. This is about saying, because I'm not giving you a solution. This is about saying, you know what? I honor my vital life force energy so much that I'm going to honor this person's too, and this person and this person. And can you do that? Because if you don't understand the other part of this choice to not honor vital life force energy of all things is that you don't honor yours. You're not honoring yours. And we're caught in this big loop. I'm getting emotional now. Because that's what I'm trying to get through to everybody. That's what this pause is about. And people who are pushing vaccinations are not interested in life, even though they will say they are. They are not. There's enough research out there. There's enough information out there to tell you that one, that a lot of vaccines are not that effective, and two, that there have been a lot of people whose vital life force energy and experience with life itself have been gravely impacted by vaccines. This is not just about vaccines. This is about GMOs. This is about knowing that this is in the consciousness of devaluing life that we've been manipulated with. And we need to stop participating with it. And we need to start opening our perspective. We need to start valuing all of life. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like to share, please tag me in the comments below. And I hope that you'll share this because I think this is very important that we start at least to organize our own minds, our emotions, our body, our connection with spirit through this truth. Okay, lots of love and aloha to you guys.